J.Cole is one of, if not the most unproblematic rapper that hip-hop has to offer. But despite his peaceful nature and his overall love towards the hip-hop community, J.Cole is no stranger to beefing with other rappers, whether it be Kanye West or obviously this year with Kendrick Lamar. However, only one person can say that they got in a fight with J.Cole when it comes to hip-hop, and that is none other than Sean Combs himself. And if you've never heard of the story and are wondering how this happened, well, stick around because I got a story to tell. It all goes back to 2013, back when J. Cole was relatively on the rise as a potential torch carrier for the next generation of hip-hop. Of course, that isn't to say that J. Cole wasn't established in the hip-hop game, because that he was. He had already released the Sideline Story, which gained him a lot of popularity with singles like Workout and Can't Get Enough. He had gotten the stamp of approval of Jay-Z and Nas, as well as some other legends in the game, and his future looked more than promising. 2013 was also the year where J. Cole was preparing to release his second studio album with Born Sinner, a record that would sell 297,000 copies first week, and that's with J. Cole going head to head with Kanye West, which to some of you may not sound impressive, but keep in mind, this is Kanye West coming off of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and Watch the Throne. Arguably, this is Kanye at his peak, if not his peak creatively, at the very least his peak commercially. And commercially, J. Cole did put up a pretty good fight, at least if you ask me. And critically, the record was also received pretty well, with the lead single for the record, Power Trip, not only landing inside the top 20 of Billboard's Hot 100, but also being nominated for a Grammy. However, for the sake of this story, the most important thing that happened in regards to this record was that it was nominated at the 2013 Video Music Awards for Best Hip Hop Video. And even though the VMAs aren't as prestigious as, let's say, the Grammys, there's still a lot of important people that go to the VMAs. And for the sake of this story, what really matters is that none other than P. Diddy was there. Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, aka Puff, aka Puffy, and member of the group Diddy Dirty Money, for those of you who remember that, was in attendance for the VMAs in 2013. Notably, however, Diddy was basically a non-factor in hip-hop when 2013 rolled around. Sure, people knew who Diddy was and respected him as one of the biggest stars in the early 2000s and late 90s of hip-hop, but it wasn't like people were looking forward to new music from Sean Combs. To those looking from the outside, it would appear as though Diddy's career was heading more towards the business side of things rather than the music side of things. And even when I say business, I don't mean business in the music industry, I mean business as in business ventures. You know, like alcohol or real estate or whatever Diddy wanted to be involved with at the time. Like in comparison to what Birdman and Lil Wayne were doing with Cash Money Records and the success that they found in somebody like Nicki Minaj and Drake. Or how Dr. Dre had Kendrick Lamar. Or how Jay-Z had J. Cole and Rihanna. Even a label record like Good Music, which was notoriously bad for up-and-coming artists, had people like Kid Cudi and Big Sean on the roster. And as a just in case you were wondering what Bad Boy had going on in the early 2010s, they had French Montana and Machine Gun Kelly, which I guess business-wise wasn't like the bottom of the barrel, but it was pretty close to it, you know what I mean? However, miraculously, Bad Boy Records did have an artist nominated for an award that night. In fact, they had an artist that would win an award, because somehow in the trash that is Bad Boy Records in the early 2010s, they somehow signed Janelle Monáe. And even though Diddy probably would have went to the VMAs if none of his artists got nominated, he was definitely gonna go to show support to Janelle Monáe. Or at least I think that's why he went. He might have just gone because he goes wherever a party is at, which of course meant that J. Cole and P. Diddy would have to be in the same room that night. And the reason why this was a notable occurrence was because of the elephant in the room that was the release of Control. But before we continue with that story, make sure to hit the subscribe. I'm trying to hit 50k by the end of the year, which seems like it's not gonna happen, but I would really appreciate it if you guys would like hit the subscribe button. And if we got it like in January, I'll be cool with that. You know what I mean? Anyways, let me get back to the video.
We usually homeboys with the same niggas I'm rhyming with, but this is hip hop and them niggas should know what time it is.
As all things have in the last 10 years of hip hop, everything leads back to this damn song. And as you can probably guess, there was a lot of tension in the room when it came to the 2013 VMAs, because Kendrick Lamar was in the room. And just so you can understand why there was so much tension, Control was released on August 14th, 2013, and the VMAs were held August 25th of 2013. This is like if Like That dropped in the middle of January and then the Grammys were like a week later. That was what the 2013 VMAs were like. Because not only were people who took an issue with the song there, like J. Cole, like A$AP Rocky, like Drake, so was Kendrick Lamar, who not only was nominated for Best Hip Hop Video, he also performed. But also you did have people like P. Diddy who would take issue with the song despite not being directly dissed, and it was clear that something bad was about to happen. But the inciting incident of this story doesn't happen until after the ceremony was done and everybody headed to the after party. As the story goes, it was at the after party where J. Cole and P. Diddy started discussing the song. For whatever reason, they started to get heated, likely aided by the fact that Diddy was drunk off his ass. But after a heated exchange between P. Diddy and J. Cole, nothing appeared to have happened. Things did get heated, however, after Diddy had left and return and go over to Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, who were chatting it up and starting some problems. The story is a bit murky from here on out, with some people saying that J. Cole got slapped by Diddy, some people saying that J. Cole slapped Diddy, some even saying that J. Cole got kicked out of the event. But as far as I can tell, I don't think anybody for sure knows what happens outside of maybe the people who were really in that area, like a J. Cole, a Diddy, or maybe even a Kendrick Lamar. However, judging by the fact that J. Cole didn't get clowned for what happened in this night and people really not talking about what happened, I would say that in terms of who won the fight, it was either pretty even or J. Cole decisively won that. But like I said, that's just a hypothesis based on the reaction, because the only things that can be confirmable are the things leading up to that event. For what it's worth, it got to the point that Diddy apparently threatened to cut J. Cole's throat. Unfortunately, it is still unclear what happened in the actual fight. And given that J. Cole and Diddy did make up like a few months after this incident, some people would probably assume that whatever happened between Diddy and Cole in that fight was gonna be something left in the past, never to be mentioned. That was until almost a decade later when J. Cole decided to address what happened in the fight.
My last scrap was with Puff Daddy, who would have thought it?
He talks about how much of a fan he was when he was a kid for Puff, but he had this vague line where it didn't really make sense, where he was like,
back then I ain't know shit, now I know too much.
Or at least a line that didn't make sense until like last year, unless you were like really tapped into the P. Diddy allegations. Now it's 2024 and the career of J. Cole and P. Diddy are in different, very different, almost like contrasting different positions. One is in prison, potentially looking at spending the rest of his life in jail, and J. Cole is potentially gearing up for what may be his final album. But yeah, that's the story of why Diddy slapped J. Cole, or J. Cole slapped Diddy, or whatever happened in the fight. Anyways, yeah, how's life? Mine? It's alright. One day I might get me a fantasy football championship, but not this year. Not this year. Anyways, with that being said, shout out to me, shout out to y'all, shout out to God, and shout out to J Dilla, and yeah.